This week's Dicebreaker podcast is sponsored by Gordian Quest. If you're a PC gamer who loves tabletop RPGs, you have to check this game out. Gordian Quest is an epic RPG influenced by old-school classics like Dungeons & Dragons, Ultima and Wizardry, but embellished with modern gaming concepts such as deck building, turn-based tactical combat, and strategic decision-making. Form a party of heroes of different classes and lead them on a journey to unravel curses laid upon the lands. Forge bonds, discover new skills, and make them stronger with legendary weapons spawned from the spoils of battle. Gordian Quest boasts a 92% positive rating on Steam and is available now at a 10% discount for a limited time only. Hello and welcome to the Dicebreaker podcast. This is episode 14. I've sort of run out of interesting things to say about numbers. Last week, obviously, we had Baker's Dozen, or unlucky for some, and now it's the number 14. But there it is.
Yeah. If the podcast was a person, they might start paying attention to other people in a romantic way.
Yeah. So
or maybe they might like mobile phones or Busted, maybe.
They might start having a bit of an attitude.
Yeah. So Dicebreaker podcast episode 14. The podcast's growing up so fast. My name is Johnny Chiodini. I am head of video at Dicebreaker.com. I have the honour of being joined this week by both Alexes. We have got Alex Meehan, staff writer.
Heyo!
And Alex Lolies, fellow video producer.
Oh yeah!
Yeah, we are direct opposites. It's true. Whatever I do, Lolies has to do the
has to do the complete opposite. It's a nightmare.
It's a terrible curse.
Absolute nightmare when we try and go to lunch together. We don't know whether we're coming or going, or which one is. Anyway, we're ostensibly here to talk about tabletop games. So before we crack
this is
on...
what I signed up for.
I know. Believe me, it's evident from the way the podcast has gone thus far. But we will start off, as is tradition, by talking about what we've been playing recently, and then we'll crack in some news, and then we'll get on to some questions from our listeners / viewers / readers / friends, we like to think of them as. I'm going to go first on the what are you playing at the moment segment, because I am undoubtedly going to be the quickest to deal with. I can't talk about it. I am currently under embargo. I'm working on something that I can't talk about, but it is very exciting and it is taking up a lot of my free time. So keep your eyes on Dicebreaker.com and youtube.com/Dicebreaker, and we will share everything we can once we can. But I'm very excited about Fort. That's the other thing. Like, I've spent this week doing a thing I can't talk about, but also being excited about Fort because pre-orders are starting to pop up on the internet. It's Leader Games' first ever game that they've taken straight to retail rather than kickstarting it like they did with Root and like they've done with Oath. We played it at PAX East just before everyone sort of went into quarantine. And it's an absolute delight. There is coverage on the YouTube channel, and I believe it's been written about on the site as well. So if you don't know what Fort is, it's just wonderful. It's a game about building a nice fort with your friends. So yeah, that's me. Done.
What a tease, Johnny.
I know, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like this. It's just I don't want to get sued.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable. So, yeah, I'll let you off this one time.
Thank you so much. Because, yeah, I find increasingly my job is a toss-up between, legal action and the wrath of Alex Meehan. So your clemency in this matter is very much appreciated. Who would like to go next about what it is they've been playing?
Oh, Lolies. Lolies, I really think you should go next.
Okay. So I wrote in my notes as to when we talk about this, I wrote freestyle because I've not really been playing anything.
That's not the name of the game, is it? I read that and I was like, I wonder what freestyle is.
Have you been out on your skateboard, Lolies?
This is me freestyling about what I've been playing, which has been nothing. But I'll tell you what I like. I had come up with an answer for this whilst you were talking, and I've instantly forgot it. My housemate has printed out more Quinto sheets, so I can continue playing that at some point. That's what's new in my board game world.
I think that's
you
fair.
finally got your hand on a printer.
Well, my housemate is a teacher and she's back at school, so she has access to a printer. So we send all of our printing needs to her and she brings them home. So she's very kindly printed, especially because they're obviously going on summer holidays soon. She's printed a bunch of Quinto sheets so that we can keep playing it, because it's an awesome roll and write that I think everyone should try. It's like a tenner or less, I think. It's like so good. Everyone should get this game.
Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, is your friend going to, like, stumble home carrying this enormous tower of sheets?
Yeah. How many weeks is it going to be before you have to start rationing games of Quinto?
I think quite soon. I know she's printed a few, but I don't think it's enough to last us the whole summer. I really think, like, we've kind of talked about her laminating a couple of sheets, but she hasn't done it yet. So maybe I need to remind her gently. Yeah.
The thing is, I don't know quite why, because obviously when a roll and write is just pieces of paper, you're going to burn through them and eventually you're not going to have any more and you're going to have to start sort of printing your own. But I really prefer it that way. Like, you know, when I bought oh god, the names escape me, the train roll and write.
Railroad Ink.
Yeah, Railroad Ink. That comes with sort of boards with like dry board markers and they wipe clean, and I was a bit like, kind of want to get a biro out and really score the paper and then stick it up somewhere if I have an amazing win. But yeah, that's just me anyway, being particular about roll and write games.
I would say that at least with the laminated version, you're not throwing away so much paper.
True.
Like when I've been playing Pandemic Legacy, every time we throw away a big pile of cardboard and such, we're always a bit like
Yeah, although, you know, laminated stuff is sort of plastics, so, you know, you can kind of imagine in 200 years someone's going to pull a dead whale shark out of the mid-Atlantic trash patch or whatever it is, and be like, oh
what a great score.
I caught a whale shark in Animal Crossing the other day, so funny that you should say that. Look at me.
No, video games.
We've changed you,
blasphemous.
Well,
what is this heresy?
Did I message you, Johnny, or did I say it in the general thing where I was like, you guys have broken me, I like video games now.
When we first started working together, you were very much like, oh, video games boring, talk about something else. And now we've corrupted you. Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah, big time.
Like the creeping influence of Nurgle.
Yeah, Lolies was like, nerds only play board games, and now
I still think like that, but yeah.
You're disparaging, but also part of the hobby. I think that's fine. Yeah. Meehan, what has occupied your time this week? Has it been similarly light? For context, listeners and viewers, it's been a hectic sort of week or so on Dicebreaker.
Oh, very quickly, I just remembered something I played. Werewolf! We played Werewolf!
Oh, yeah.
You did!
With outside Xbox
and it was
and
so good, and I played very well, even if I do say so myself.
You absolutely did. You really did. At one point, you just unseated Jane Douglas in a manner that was A, brilliant, but also B, just quite disrespectful. It was amazing. Like, Lolies made a formal accusation, and then it went to the vote, and Jane stuck her hand up, and Lolies kept hers down and was like, I didn't want to kill them. I just wanted to see which way you'd vote. And it was like a proper mic drop.
Jane was the only one who raised her hand, and I was trying to figure out who the werewolf actually was, because I had no idea at this point. And then I obviously knew that the werewolf would want to kill somebody, and lo and behold, Jane was the only one to raise her hand. So I was like, well, ergo, you are the werewolf. And I was correct, thankfully. Honestly, the way she reacted first, I was like, was I wrong? Have I made a terrible mistake? And then thankfully, it turned out to be okay.
Busted that case wide open. But Meehan, sorry, yes.
Right, yes.
It is a little bit disturbing how good you are at social deduction games, Lolies. You have this understanding of the human psyche, I think. Yeah, like she said, she can see into my mind. Like Johnny said, this week's been a long one, and it feels like there's not been much room for board gaming, which is a shame. My friend and I played a little bit of Suro of the Seas,
Oh, lovely.
which I believe I've talked about on this podcast before. But it's a version of Suro, the game where you have to traverse a board and it's got different lines on it, and you lay down tiles, different lines drawn in there, so you can try and avoid hitting other people's tokens or being led off the board. But this version has dragons in it, and they're bad. And when I say we played about 15 seconds, I literally mean we played 15 seconds, because instantly a dragon basically moved next to me and ate me. So
Wow.
yeah, that was, and then by the time we'd set it up and done that, our dinner was ready, and we were like, well, that's the end of that one, I guess. So I wanted to talk about for a little bit, instead of what I've been playing, what I would like to play, which is sparked by a news story I wrote this week about an RPG called Cult Divinity Lost. I believe I've talked about it before, many eons ago. But I just, I was reminded of its existence by writing this news piece, because there's some new supplementary materials coming out for it. And I went back and had a look at my copy of the core rulebook, which is here. Sorry, listeners.
It looks very nice to those of you listening.
I mean, nice isn't the word I'd use to describe the art in this book. It's very much unpleasant, but in an intentional way. It's a horror RPG, actually a 4th edition of an RPG that was written in the early 90s. And it was basically brought back in 2018 with this 4th edition, which is called Cult Divinity Lost. So the original was called Cult, and it's Swedish, and it's quite, what's the word, full on in terms of its themes and its setting. It's all about like humanity is being secretly sort of kept under control by this group of essentially evil gods who want to maintain this illusion of. It's a little bit like The Matrix, but less leather and Hugo Weaving, and more demons and various other scary things. But it's been sat here for a long time. I've not actually played it. It's one of those classic things that I'm sure Johnny is well aware of, where you buy a RPG rulebook and then
yes, it just sits there questioningly, being like, why am I in your house and not in the house of somebody who'll actually pick me up and make use of me?
Mother, why?
Silently judging. I'm sorry, A Song of Ice and Fire, and Mutant, and Simbaroom, and Deadlands Classic, and Overlight, and Band of Blades.
Yeah, I feel like this news story has lit a fire underneath me regarding playing this game.
Good.
I love horror RPGs, and this one looks really, really interesting. I think you have to find the right group of people though, because the potential for it basically exploring really uncomfortable subjects is there, and you have to make it like abundantly clear to the people that we need to make sure that we don't discuss anything or encounter anything that you're going to be uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a horror RPG that's based on very personal fears and like things that happen in the real world, if not pushed to an extreme. So I'm obviously careful of who I want to play this with.
Yeah.
Also, I would say like the art for it can sometimes be on the side in terms of female depictions in there. It's also very. It's maybe I've just glossed over. It also seems very white washed, which is a shame. Because this is, a modern update. There's not really much excuse.
Yeah.
So sort that out, I guess.
It's a Scandinavian release title, is it? Is it
Yeah.
partly inspired by sort of Nordic stuff?
No, it's more on the, and when I say this, it's very much like, it's more on the Cthulhu style thing in terms of like, oh, there's these beings that watch over us, and but these beings very much have very specifically evil intentions. They're not like we just exist and we'll eat you. It's more like we want you to suffer because we enjoy that.
Okay.
I'd say it's very much more religiously leaning. Like the name might give it away a bit, but I think it explores like themes of like gods taking advantage of their position and like people's beliefs and how far that can go. But yeah, I would like to try it, but also there are some issues I have with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, keep us updated as to what you think of it once you actually get the chance to play it, I guess.
Yes, I will do.
I think we should do some news. We've got 4 stories to get through today. I'm going to suggest that we rattle through the first 2 of them because, frankly, they're downers. And there's not really much to say apart from just sharing the base information. But then we can crack into 2 stories that I think are actually a bit more upbeat. Does that sound good?
But you can't taste the highs unless you've experienced the lows, Johnny.
Exactly. It's by contrast that we experienced good things. So, with that, the first piece of news is that EGX, which is the UK's biggest gaming event, scheduled to take place at the Excel Centre in London from the 17th to the 20th of September 2020, has been cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Obviously, a lot of this is happening at the minute, but is especially worth mentioning for us because EGX is, of course, the sort of flagship show run by ReedPop in the UK, which is, the company, it's the parent company for Dicebreaker. So every year we aim to have like a big physical presence. It was our first appearance at last year's show because it was just 2 months on from our launch. In fact, it was Loli's first week and she was ill, and so she was just chugging Lemsip while we were forcing her to do live streams and meet and greets, and we were encouraging you to rest.
You were, to be fair, you did tell me to go home a few times, and I was like, no. And every now and again, I was just like, I have to lie down. And then I would peel myself off the floor because I'm like, no, I have to meet everyone. And I'm glad I did because I didn't realize that was going to be my only chance for another year or so.
Yeah,
so
indeed.
I'm really glad I did. I'm really glad I was there.
It was my first week as well.
Of course.
And I was also ill. So, like, we had both the Alexes. I was blowing into tissues constantly, which was fun because I was managing the demo area. So obviously people were like, I was trying to explain how to play Parks while just like, sorry for a minute.
Yeah, we had a curated tabletop area, and yeah, Meehan worked tirelessly to teach people how to play games such as Set a Watch and Parks. By the end of that weekend, it was quite clear that you did not want to play Set a Watch for some time. But either way, it's a lovely show. And while it is not happening in a physical sense this year, there will be a digital offering called EGX Digital, which runs from the 12th to the 20th of September 2020, which is 5 extra days. It's a 9-day event providing 24-hour coverage from brands like Eurogamer, VG247, GamesIndustry.biz, Rock Paper Shotgun, and of course Dicebreaker. We're doing this in collaboration with PAX Online because obviously the Penny Arcade Expos aren't really happening at the minute either. And again, they are part of the same company, so it's going to be all a very big online digital event providing developer sessions, panels on a variety of industry topics, playable games, live Let's Play sessions, meet and greets, sort of digital meet and greets, and much more. And we will very much be a part of it. We're kind of starting to throw ideas around now and get that all together. And it will be totally free because it's on the internet. So we're bringing the Excel Centre to you in a very specific way. We're bringing the content we produce in the Excel Centre direct to you. We're not bringing you the lines at Costa Coffee. We're not bringing you the underwhelming breakfast buns that they sort of sell in the concourse. And
unfortunately, we're not bringing you a giant plate of breakfast from a hotel like the one that our own Michael Whelan enjoyed.
Had a bang on.
Indeed, it that coined one of our most popular catchphrases in the office, which is "have a bang on that." He just sent a picture of a massive fry up saying "have a bang on that," and it lit a fire under all of us.
I genuinely can't remember laughing so much in the space of like 2 minutes. I would just laugh about it, stop laughing, and then remember it and start laughing again. And throughout the whole day.
I still think we need a T-shirt of just like Wheels' head going like this.
Have a bang
and it's
on
like,
that.
Have a bang on that.
We got a lot out of that weekend in terms of just strange memes. It spawned, of course, 90 or 10, the game about which sea creatures Wheels reckons he could take in a fight. We had a very animated, slightly tipsy conversation about Zeus and his fondness for fornicating. It was big. It was a whole big weekend. So EGX will return in physical capacity next year, but for now we are excited to bring you EGX Digital. And yeah, we are obviously sad about it not happening, but it is the right call. Indeed, BoardGameGeek has made a very similar call this week to move on to our second news item, because BoardGameGeek has cancelled its upcoming convention, BoardGameGeek Con 2020, in response to the current COVID-19 pandemic. It was going to be held between the 18th and 22nd of November, but it is no longer happening in a physical sense. But to establish a theme, BoardGameGeek will be hosting a virtual gaming con via the Tabletop Events, or TTE, online platform. It's already got form in doing this because they use it to host an online convention that took place just last month. And of course, I think we talked about it last week that Spiel Essen has been cancelled also, and that's having a digital event, kind of in a continuing theme for 2020. Lots of physical events not happening, going online instead. Hopefully bringing you a lot of stuff that you would be enjoying anyway, just to the comfort of your own home. So yeah.
Hopefully minus the post-convention sickness as well.
Yes.
I always get sick after. I usually always get sick after conventions. Like since I've joined Dicebreaker, though, I seem to always get sick for conventions. It's taken a weird turn, but
I never normally get con flu. I did get it coming back from PAX East this year, and I'm fairly sure it was coronavirus. I'm not certain. I haven't had an antibody test or anything, but turns out when I do get sick from conventions, I really know how to pick them. Anyway, those are two news stories about things that aren't happening. Let's talk about some things that are. Indeed, some things that are happening to moderate surprise, I think, because Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Core has only bloody well got a release date.
Yeah. Third in a row.
Yeah, this is its third release date, so third time's the charm, I guess. You penned this one, Meehan.
I did, in the darkest of the night, with a lone candle on my desk. I doth wrote this.
I don't know if you were listening to Enya or like Gregorian chanting. What are you doing writing news by candlelight after office hours?
Definitely Enya, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I like those smooth, dulcet tones. Aliens, Another Glorious Day in the Core, which is really quite a catchy title, has got its third release date. Yay! Originally announced back in 2018. was going to come out later that year.
Mhm.
Then it was pushed to 2019. And then it was just like, we don't know when it's going to come out. And now they're like, hey, it's coming out later this year. Was it October?
Yes, it's now going to release in October of this year.
Yeah, so as far as I can tell, this is a co-op game where you play as characters from the Aliens film, starring Sigourney Weaver.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to basically survive the xenomorph attack through a variety of different campaigns. And they're alongside announcing another release date. They've also announced 2 additional expansions, which I believe are the first expansions for the game.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is
Ultimate
something about
Badasses.
and the other is Get Away From Her, You, and Rude Word.
I think given that this is a direct quote from the film, you can say "Get away from her, you bitch."
Yeah, I mean, it's called Get Away From Her, You Bitch. Presumably referencing the line from the film, Johnny.
Yes, that iconic line from within the Power Loader, where the alien queen is near Newt, who is a playable character. You'll be pleased to know if you enjoy playing as grubby-faced girls who speak in slightly creepy voices. Ripley gets into the Power Loader with her amazing trainers. And delivers an iconic line, and then has a big old dust up with a massive alien.
And then delivers an uppercut.
It's pretty cool.
To the alien queen. Lolies, do you like aliens or not?
I feel like I've seen it once years ago, and I don't remember any of it.
Okay.
I like when I watched films and TV shows growing up, or even now, I'm not the kind of person who like remembers quotes or remembers anything about them down the line. I know some people, like I have so many people in my life who like often just throw out like Simpson quotes and stuff, right? And I watched just as much Simpsons when I was a kid, I'm sure, but just like that just never happened with me. People will say quotes, and I'm like.
I would say you did reference The Simpsons on this podcast once.
Well, yeah, I did, but
we don't talk about episode 8.
Go back to episode 8 if you'd like to know what she's referencing there.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like I might have picked it up in recent years, but I definitely didn't do it growing up, and so like Aliens would have been something I think I would have watched when I was a teenager, maybe, and it just wouldn't have been that way inclined. I think
it's a cracking film. I'm a big fan of the Alien series.
I'll put it on the list of films to watch. I've got
Lolies.
I was going to say put it on the list of sort of Dicebreaker films to watch as a team, but then I realised if people were like, ha, look at that, I'd be like, yeah, funny joke. I think it's a film I like too much to want to talk over.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd be in that boat with you. I'd probably be sat there like hands on my knees, glued to the screen like this, because although I've only seen Alien and Aliens, I think because I've directly avoided Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection and Prometheus, etc., etc., because I didn't want them to sour my sort of opinion of Alien as being a wonderful thing. Although I would say the first Alien is better, in my opinion.
It is, absolutely. But it's also a completely different film. Alien is a thriller. Yeah. Aliens is an action film. Alien 3, slightly controversial opinion, I actually rate it. People talk, like, they trash talk it all the time. And it did have problems in production. But I actually think it's very good. So if anyone disagrees... just
send an email.
Send me an email.
No, write it in the comments.
Write it in the comments, and we'll meet up and we'll have a fight. Alien Resurrection is dreadful. It is just
in a power loader.
In a power loader, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll turn up in one of those in an alien suit.
Yep.
In a xenomorph suit.
Alex Bean is going to comment under this YouTube video as what's it, Fart Droid or something.
So, Lolies, that means you're either Newt, the little girl who's been surviving, avoiding the xenomorphs for ages, or you are rough tough guy Hicks, played by Michael Bean. Okay.
I even like the name Newt, to be honest.
Okay.
Or how about this, Johnny? Or you are a power loader. And Lolies is Ripley.
So you're... Oh, I'm the power loader. Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So basically, you do that thing where you put your arms out, and I'll put my arms between... Yeah. Like under your armpits.
Yeah,
and
under
then
your armpits.
We'll have a fight with our listeners.
With me! You'll have to fight me and
with
the
you.
aliens.
Sorry.
The xenomorph suit.
Of course.
And the listeners.
So, and the listeners. I'll fight everyone. It's 2020. I'm done. So that is our news about Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Court. Actually, one thing I will say, there are miniatures in this game, because obviously it's just a board game and this is based off a film property.
Yeah.
They do look pretty good. Like the Power Loader one is really great. The Alien Queen one, at first I thought she had a really stubby tail. I've actually realised it's foreshortening because it curls round. And the promotional image they've released makes it look like it's teeny tiny. But even so, the bodily proportions on the Alien Queen, it's like a very, very short body that just doesn't tally with sort of how I remember it from the film. So I'm not going to lie, it looks a little bit like the Alien Queen hatch from a Jack Russell Terrier.
Or like a dog alien, like the dog alien from Alien 3, no?
Yeah.
There you go. Maybe it's intentional, Johnny.
Maybe. But yes, that is a game that is coming up. And now, in a very roundabout way, we've talked about it. So the final piece of news we have for you this week is that Free RPG Day, cometh. It is on the 25th of July in this, the year of our Lord 2020. And not only can you, as you can every year, get your hands on a whole bunch of free RPGs, but there are some pretty good ones in this year's lineup. Renegade Game Studios, has come in hard. Basically, they're going to be releasing a number of RPGs available during Free RPG Day, and they've released a selection of adventures and quick start guides in anticipation, including Kids on Brooms, which is the sort of Harry Potter inspired spin-off of Kids on Bikes, and also Overlight, which is like a very, very beautiful game about sort of having it's like a colourful, like, fancy role-playing game where you can get all these sort of powers that aim to
they're like based sort of off different fields of powers. So some of them control like fire, other control like other elements, and it's like really inspired by like classic 70s like rock covers, like album covers. As like Yes is Yes like one of the big influences, I think. I know nothing about that genre of music. I'm probably even saying the name wrong. Someone's probably screaming at me now going, you're rubbish. Like it's just got a very striking art style and a very kind of optimistic flavor about it. Like imagine the opposite of Cult. Like it's just very feel good, and Renegade had already released a free scenario earlier in the year, but this one is entirely new. And they're basically releasing it in anticipation of Free RPG Day, which they're not the only company partnering with it or for it. There are a number of other publishers, Mr. Chiodini,
Hunters Entertainment, the company behind the upcoming RPG Alice is Missing, and Oni Games, although they haven't released any specifics on what's going to be out there for Free RPG Day. But if you want to know more as it kind of comes up, you can go to freerpgday.com, And
Yeah.
you can sort of get your hands on stuff. Overlight, I will say, is absolutely gorgeous. I picked up a copy at PAX Unplugged last year. So I was trying. That wasn't meant to be like, you know, a game show like it. It was more that I was trying to remember which one it was. PAX Unplugged. It is a really lovely game, and it is like as you say, Meehan, it's got a very positive vibe. And I picked it up because I really want us to play it for one of the sort of mid-season campaigns between campaigns of Dungeon Breaker. Although I will say, it is a game that runs entirely off D4s. And I have opinions about that because I don't like D4s to roll.
Yeah.
They don't roll, they just splat. You know?
Yeah, it's not satisfactory, is it?
No, it's like
Is that the one,
a bit
the
of caltrops.
colourful? The colourful one. That's a colourful dice one.
That's
that
right. Yeah, I've had the D4s on my desk in Brighton for ages. And they are at least big D4s. They've got like a bit better chance of catching an edge and actually maybe rolling. But yeah, D4s are my least favourite of the polyhedral dice, followed by D8s.
There's a full-on slam for the D4s out there.
Oh mate, like
you better watch your back.
this is honestly, if we were in a pub and we'd had a couple of pints, I'd be raring to go on this one. Be like, right,
have no doubt.
everybody, turn off the music. Everyone, shut up. It's time to learn about dice.
Johnny would become the freeloader. He would turn into the mech and then just absolutely.
I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a transformer. Just.
Like a transformer. Yeah, I would be up for playing that. I really want to try and dig into a lot more modern RPGs that have come out over the last few years, and from studios you don't expect, because usually Renegade Game Studios is known for doing board games.
Mm-hmm.
So not many people know they do RPGs.
Indeed.
So there you go. There you got it.
What kind of world is it set in?
It is. So we just did a cunning cut there. It was probably not even noticeable, but I went and got my copy of Overlight. And basically, it is set in an alternate history that diverges from our own in the year 1000 BCE. So human civilization had just begun to achieve heretofore unreached heights. The Egyptians, the Olmecs, the Babylonians, the Chinese, a race of divine beings, had been subtly guarding and protecting humankind during their formative years, and a small but vocal minority of these beings now believed that humankind was ready to take their place in the cosmos. They argued that humanity should be given the secrets of the universe and take their rightful place among the stars. They were overruled. But one dissenting voice defied this judgment and gave humankind the literal keys to creation, and with them one all-important guiding principle: do not use the black key. Humanity did not listen. All of reality was turned inside out. The burning heart of the world became the bright white, unending sky, and the unknowable depths of space became a vast star-filled sea beneath. Entire continents now float in the space between without a moon or sun to guide them, and the game takes place 3,000 years after that, as the fractured remains of humanity cling to the shattered remnants of a broken world. Floating mountains are the norm. There are intelligent bird people. There are moss beings. Monks make spirit bonds with snow monkeys in ice-shrouded temples. And basically, but there are these special people called the Skyborn who can manipulate the light from above to fuel remarkable powers. And basically, they want to make a better world. And that's where the players come in, because everything is strange and floaty and sort of very high concept, but things could be improved. So that is sort of the oeuvre of it. And as you can see from the cover, it's all just very beautifully done and very colourful. And the Free RPG Day one, they put this out in 2018, was an adventure called The Birthright of Ka Ulan. But I don't know what the one for this year's Free RPG Day will be called. Sorry, Lolies, I cut you off there.
It's in the news piece.
Oh, it is. Oh,
Mr. Keating.
Shut my mouth.
Shut my cake hole.
Well, the Lost Spire of Tziquatl.
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly. And by the way, looking at that cover, cult artists and designers, please take note. I know you're listening to this.
Yes, obviously.
Lolies, what were you going to comment?
I
on
literally wasn't gonna say anything. Didn't even open my mouth.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
In that case, I'm sorry all over again.
But are you, Lolies? Are you going to play it as a moss person?
Is that an option?
It is.
Yeah.
It is an option. So it says, yeah, the moss beings prey to trees in the dark depths of unknown forests. That doesn't sound very you.
No, it
Would
doesn't.
you be a monk making a spirit bond with the snow monkeys in
No.
an ice-shrouded temple? Okay. Would you be a huge centipede?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
there you go.
Well, huge centipedes seek enlightenment while shepherding their flocks upon sand-blasted expanses. That's not necessarily what I would have chosen for you, but you know what? That's the nice thing about RPGs is you can be whatever you like.
I'm gonna start making my costume now.
Oh wow, I really want to see that.
Be a giant centipede.
I'm
Amazing.
imagining.
It's gonna be like I'm pretty much just gonna I'm gonna get myself a centipede. I'm gonna just point the camera at the centipede. I'm gonna just like then use a mic somewhere else and talk through the mic so it'll look like I am a centipede. But I'll put some miniature stuff, like miniature furniture around it so it looks like it's a giant centipede.
Wow, this isn't what I was expecting. I honestly think it would be easier for you to do like an actual centipede costume than acquire a centipede. I'm fairly sure they're not your average. I don't think you'll be able to walk into a pet shop and say, "Excuse me, could I have
go on
a
eBay.
centipede?" You go on eBay.
Never buy centipedes off eBay, Alex.
Yeah.
You never know what you're getting.
I was imagining, like, do you know James and the Giant
And my name
Peach?
would be Pete. Centipede.
Okay, that's
Sorry,
pretty
go
good.
Yeah, you know James and the Giant Peach?
Mm.
You know Mr. Caterpillar?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Mr. Caterpillar? There's like a... I'm probably getting this massively wrong, but there's like a caterpillar type character.
Mm.
Like, I'm imagining Loli looks a bit like that, if you can remember what he looks like.
Oh, I can, yeah. From the animated film, he talks with like a Brooklyn accent, and he's got a flat cap, and he smokes cigars, and he loves coffee.
He does.
Again, these are not choices I normally would associate with Lolies, but yeah, my favourite thing about RPGs is they can transport you into a character that is not like your own, and I think that's nice.
I'm here to keep you guys on your toes, so you never know what I'm going to bring next.
Indeed.
Yeah.
To the RPG game.
Lolies is not a centipede, as far as I know.
Right. Good. Well, that is all of the news for this week. I was so confident we were going to keep this podcast under an hour this week. In fairness,
You try.
We're ahead of time, but we have also discussed a lot of things that I didn't think I'd ever discuss, let alone discuss on the Dicebreaker podcast. So I reckon we should skip straight to questions from the audience.
Ooh.
Questions! It's question time on Dicebreaker. There you go.
I'll tell you what, I'll take this first one and then we'll sort of go from there. This one arrived hot in my inbox this morning. My computer has only just stopped smoking, which is troubling. But Wei Han says, Dear Dicebreaker team, while listening to a podcast episode about Lady Gaga's Chromatica, talking about the world created by that album, stick with me, I out of nowhere started thinking about what an RPG inspired by that album might look like, which of course reminded me of Boy Problems. Boy Problems, for anyone who doesn't know, is sort of it's based on the Lasers and Feelings RPG, and it is a futuristic heist where you are trying to steal the Vault, which is a collection of 500 unreleased Carly Rae Jepsen songs, which is actually a real thing. But yes, you're in the future and you're trying to steal it. We played it live on the channel, so if you want to watch that, you can. It's bananas. But Wei Han asks, my question is, which other artists or albums would you like to see RPGs inspired by?
Oh my god, I'm gonna explode, Johnny.
Should I take it from that you want to go first, or do you want
It's
some
like
thinking
this-
time?
This person knew I was here and knew what I wanted to hear
It's a
and
good question,
knew
isn't it?
what I wanted to talk about.
Is it David
Uh,
Bowie?
Yeah.
It's so many things.
That was my
Um,
thought.
Well, yeah, let's get the cat out of the bag first. David Bowie has done a lot of concept albums. The thing is, it's right. Let me establish this. Ziggy Stardust is not the best album he's done. Period. I'm saying that now. But as a concept album, it's probably the most exciting as an RPG because Ziggy Stardust, for people who might not know, is an alien who basically comes to Earth to teach people how to be cool and also totally awesomely queer and totally awesomely out there in terms of considering when it was released, how you approach music, how you dress, how you present your identity. And I think having an RPG around that concept would be awesome because, yeah, I just love the music with it and I love the idea of having more RPGs where I can pretend to be David Bowie. Also, I'm going to be bad and have more answers. I had an answer earlier. Oh, Janelle Monáe. Most of her albums would work. I really like Dirty Computer, which came out a few years ago. Absolutely slaps, by the way. A lot of her concept albums are based around her character. I'm trying to remember what it's called now. I'm really sorry, I've forgotten. But she's an android, and she presents a world where androids exist, and they are basically essentially an oppressed group who express themselves through music and dancing. And Dirty Computer in particular, she kind of merges herself with that character along with Django Jane, which is also another character she makes. And I think having that kind of I'm always bad at describing music, but like pop, R&B kind of mash of like awesome costumes. If you ever see her music videos, that would be amazing. And everyone get ready to groan. American Idiot. I love that album. I don't care what people say. It helped define my adolescent years.
That's absolutely fine. No, that is absolutely fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh like an elephant.
No, I know people will laugh, and like I understand why people don't like it and all have grown out of it. But like I genuinely maintain that it isn't punk. It's a very pop, like soft version of it, and but I don't think it takes itself too seriously. And you know, Billy Joe Armstrong seems to come across as a genuinely nice person. I again don't know him, but if you ever watched the documentary they did on the musical of American Idiot,
I was going to say, yeah, it got made into a musical, and that is a fairly good litmus test for whether something can be made into an RPG or not. I reckon.
Yeah,
Based on absolutely no evidence. That's just my opinion.
The musical received very mixed reviews, but he seemed to, and the rest of Green Day seemed to enjoy making it. So,
While I don't necessarily agree on the album choice, I do think Green Day is quite a good shout. I really like Dookie, but I don't know how that would work as an RPG.
Yeah. Well, I mean, someone out there has got to be bold enough to try. So, what about you, Lolies? Do you have any particular ones off the top of your head?
Oh Lord, I was really like racking my head there, and I think like I'd have to because I'm struggling with it. I'm not gonna lie, but one of the things that came into my head as a potential, and this is me maybe stretching the definition of the word. Was it singer? Was that the word that was used in the question, or was it just
No, I think it's
Artists.
just which
Yeah.
artists or albums. So I think you're fine.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say RuPaul is technically a singer of sorts.
Okay.
And so I'm sure you could take something around the world that has been created. And I've been like watching a lot of RuPaul, especially yesterday when I took the day off. I just had it on like all day. And do something like that. And also like you could have like some pretty quirky characters, and yeah.
I think that would be pretty great, to be honest.
Yeah, I could imagine it being like the wrestling RPG, Worldwide.
Oh my god, yeah. Where
Yeah,
it's like a TV format, and you have to put on an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race.
You have to like make your costume and and then you have to perform as the character you've made.
You have to lip sync for your life.
Oh man, mine's gonna sound
really
so
cool.
boring by comparison, because I'm gonna talk about prog rock. I've actually got two under my belt, but the first one is Coheed and Cambria, which is like a fantastic sort of prog rock band, who for decades now have been putting out albums that are all wrapped up in this sci-fi universe that's about something called the Armory Wars. So it's all very high sci-fi, and it's like the music is absolutely banging. They've already made the Armory Wars into a comic series, so there are like a bunch of comic books that you can read, and I think it would translate really well into that RPG sort of setting where it's got some absolutely bananas stuff like going on in the universe. Like there's a sadistic robot called Al the Killer, and I forget some of the other stuff. Like, but it's they have a lot of songs about a 10-speed, like, but it's kind of like almost a celestial bicycle. I think I'm not that well versed in the actual lore, but I love the music. They did one album that wasn't set in the Armory Wars, and I was like, oh, that's nice, and just didn't listen to it. So that would be great, I reckon. And the other one is a metal band called Protest the Hero, who are kind of like, I guess technically they'd be called mathcore, because they've got really complicated guitar lines and they change time signatures all the time. So the first few times you listen to it, you're like, what is this? Why does someone keep hitting shuffle? But once you get into it, it's wonderful, and the lead singer's amazing. He's got these really like incredible operatic moments. But their lyrics are also like really right on. Like in 2006, when they were 17, they released an album called Keziah, which is like a really feminist metal album, and they just keep producing these songs that really brilliantly sum up issues in the States and issues elsewhere in the world. Like they did one about basically the Brock Turner case, where like a young man just got off scot-free after doing horrible things to women, and it was just talking about how unjust it is and all this kind of stuff. But that's kind of blended with a lot of talk that's almost like You'll Die by Irish Steel, and like everyone's like galloping across the earth, and it's sort of high. It almost ventures into fantasy territory, but they've just got these incredibly passionate songs about just like really important issues that are really well and smartly put together. So I can totally imagine it being kind of like an almost like Road Warriors style universe where you're fighting for justice, but also just being like an unbelievable badass. Like. I cannot express how much I love this band. Like, I put them on while I mowed the lawn the other week, and I got it done in about 10 minutes. I hate gardening. I only mow the lawn so the dog will go to the toilet on it. And I was just like, right, let's get this done. And yeah, just math called it out, basically.
Yeah. I would quickly just say Kate Bush.
I mean, Kate Bush the RPG would be utterly
That would be
incredible.
amazing, because like you can just be as weird as you like. You can just pretend you're turned into a donkey, which actually happens in one of her songs. She suddenly just becomes a donkey and starts screaming like a donkey, and I'm like, I am so on board for this.
You could have so many good powers in that RPG. It'd be like, like, okay, I'm going to pursue him, so I'm going to roll running up that hill. And like, like, okay, well, you can do this, but you're going to be on the wedding list. Like, there's just so much there.
Yeah, you could have the different archetypes. You can have Step on Me Kate, which is her in wedding list. You can have Wuthering Heights Kate, which is her just spinning around on a hill. You can also have Wow Kate, which is her sat there just making expressions.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many amazing archetypes you could have. Right, I'm done. We got to move on.
Okay, all right. Lolies, why don't you take this question from James Howell, which is the second one in the doc, because I've just pulled a question out because I've decided we'll save that for another week. Nobody can stop me.
Okay. James Howell asks, out of the games you've played, which do you feel are the best for onboarding friends and family into tabletop gaming? I feel like I've answered this question before. It's like I tend to stick to games that maybe have a certain similarity to games they already know. Often be like one of my first questions if I'm trying to like introduce somebody into other board games. Will be like, well, what's your favorite board game out of the ones you know? And then I'll try and take something that maybe has a similarity to that, but is actually better or is just a bit different, and kind of try and build on what they already know.
It's a good shout.
Because then I think people aren't as like overwhelmed because they might like understand the mechanic or understand the theme or whatever the case may be. And then it's also because it's related to something they like already, it often goes down quite well. So
I'd say for me,
so like that might include, sorry.
No, carry on.
I was gonna say that might include like something like Marrakesh, which is like an area control game, which is, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know, reminds people of like Monopoly in a way, because you have to like pay people money if you land on their rugs and stuff like that. And it's like that's the only way in which it like has any resemblance, but people understand that mechanic. So
I would say Codenames, because Codenames has had the highest success rate for me with sort of onboarding people who are reluctant about board games. One of my friends would actually actively hate it whenever we got a game out, but we got her playing Codenames and she really loves it. Like, I think it's a good game for getting people to come out of their shell a bit and actually sort of take part in a game where they can sometimes be a bit intimidating, but also there's a good element of teamwork. It's quick to play, it's not too serious, but you feel great when you've smashed it. I would say, Codenames has definitely, for a while now, for a couple of years, been like top of my list of good games to get people on board with. Apart from that, maybe stuff like Forbidden Island. Like, if people are looking for something a bit more sort of involved. But yeah, Codenames.
Codenames is definitely a good shout. I've played that with my family before, with mixed results. But yeah, I mean, I think essentially the ideas I'll put across are the ideal for anyone, because my family is possibly the hardest family to ever get to play a board game ever. Because you've got my dad, who just has absolutely no interest in playing anything, regardless of what it is. Try to get him to kind of focus on a game is really hard. My mum is just she finds it very difficult to step outside of her comfort zone. So she'll often want to play Yahtzee, which is fine. Yahtzee's fine. But, I'm like, there's a whole world out there that I want to show you. And my brother he just wants to keep the peace. So, I suggested Snake Oil, which is a party game slash, like, I guess it's not really a genre, but it's like a persuasion game where you get 2 cards and you have to create, well, more than 2 cards, but from 2 cards from your deck you have to use to create a product you're selling to another person. And one person in the group plays as that person, and they could be anything from like a zombie to a cheerleader. So you have to like market the product at their character specifically. So not only do you have to make this product out of whatever cards you have, you also have to make it appeal to them. So it's a very, very straightforward setup, really easy to explain, and it involves a lot of interaction. which I think is a lot easier for people who aren't as into board games.
Yeah.
Because, they don't have to look after their own board or whatever they're doing. It's constantly just a socialization thing. And, it does sound like a lot like one of those games which have gotten very popular recently that you're kind of getting sick of because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And they're very by the numbers. But Snake Oil, I think, works because it is a simple premise, but the potential for fun is there. Like, again, it will depend on the group, but I've had some really, really excellent experiences of playing Snake Oil. Like, some people have really made some hilariously creative products, and if you like talking like I do, it's a really fun game because then you can really lean into that.
I mean, it was out of print for the longest time because it launched in 2010, and I remember you couldn't find it anywhere. But it would often come up in conversation because it provides... Basically, it does what Cards Against Humanity tries to do better, because Cards Against Humanity is trash. And yeah, so I just looked, and it is available again, which is nice.
Yeah.
So
Hasbro got the rights a few years ago, which is why it's now more available than it used to be. I managed to get my hands on a copy, but I think I remember when I was looking for a copy, I found it hard. So it's not, it's fairly recently that it's become more available.
Yeah.
But I think there are multiple versions of it as well. It is one of those games that is not going to blow your mind, but it's definitely great for getting people to play games that then when they're not actually comfortable. Yeah.
Right. Melissa Rutherford is going to provide our next question. Do you want to read this? Who hasn't read one out? It's Meehan, isn't it?
Oh, me, teach me.
You know that wouldn't work on me if I were an actual teacher.
No, you'd be sat there going, "Oh, you little so and so."
Right.
Sure.
Read that one out.
Melissa asked, "What was your favourite game as a kid? Board or other?" Oh my goodness.
Let's try and keep it to board, because otherwise we'll be here all day.
Yeah, we will be here all day. What is the one game you aren't allowed to play with other people? I'm not allowed to play Risk with my SLI?
Sister-in-law.
No, sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law! Sorry, I said that completely wrong. And if you could, what game would you play every day? Oh my goodness. It's like 3 questions in one.
I've got this one sewn up, because as a kid,
Go on, Johnny.
It was probably Cluedo, with Scrabble as a close second, because I like words. What am I not allowed to play with other people? Avalon. Because I get accused of being a spy before the cards are even dealt, which is quite annoying. It's only with one specific group of friends, but they do it so regularly that I've stopped playing with them. And if I could play one game every day, it would be Doomtown Reloaded, funnily enough. Just to crowbar that one in. There it is. It's been a couple of weeks since I've managed to mention Doomtown Reloaded, but I would 100% play that every single day if I could. When one of my best friends, he plays a lot of Doomtown. He used to work in Brighton, and whenever we get the train back together, if I were in the office, we'd sit there, and if we were sat opposite one another on the table, it would genuinely be like we were going to have a fight in the Wild West. One would look at the other, and you'd sort of raise an eyebrow, and there'd be a little nod, and we'd get our decks out without even saying anything. It was brilliant. So I'd do that. Lolies, you were looking pensive, and now you look resolved.
Yes.
What are your...
No, I'm still pensive.
Okay. Meehan, where are you on there?
I reckon I could go, yeah. Right. My favourite game when I was little was Mousetrap, because I was obsessed with the idea of it, and we were missing pieces, so I would just set it up and poke around with it, and then we wouldn't really actually play the game. And the game that I'm not allowed to play with people, I don't know if there really is one. I guess the closest thing might be Shadow Hunters, which I've mentioned several times before in the podcast. Mostly because I was obsessed with it for a little while, and I would bring it out a lot. And initially, people's reactions were to it were, "Oh, please no." um, but the funny thing is with Shadowhunters, they initially are like that, but once you get them into it, they can't get enough. Ha ha! See, look, now I've got you addicted. And the game I would play every day would maybe be like. Thing is, I do like routine, but I also get bored sometimes doing the same thing. But I suppose something like Point Salad, where it's like a very straightforward, quick, like I really like Point Salad. To be honest, I probably would play Point Salad every day because it's really quick, and maybe I'd get better at it. People were expecting me to say Scythe. I bet. No.
No one's got time for 365 games of Scythe every year. That's a part-time job. Absolutely not. I mean, Crokinole, once we're allowed to actually see people again.
Crokinole.
I'm gonna make a firm resolution now that I am never going to come to the office in Brighton and leave it again without playing at least one game of Crokinole that day. Done.
Yeah.
There it is.
My friends are getting married. Well, not this year.
Well, nice one.
But it's not an insult. It's literally a comment on the current climate. But,
good one, hopeful lovers.
Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, we would like our friends to get us a gift, like collectively." And I said, "Why not get a Crokinole set?" And they're totally into the idea. So they know they do listen to this podcast, and they know we're getting them it. It's not a surprise. Okay. But yeah, and I said they should have it at the wedding, and that'd be amazing.
I mean, if you want to be totally overshadowed at your own wedding, like bringing a Crokinole board out is kind of like another couple getting engaged and announcing it at the reception. Like,
I'm imagining Johnny like crashing the wedding, just like coming in,
I'll be
like
there.
being like, "Yeah, Crokinole."
I've been invited to a wedding next year where there's a cub tournament. I'm gonna clean up, mate. It's gonna be brilliant.
Right, Lolies.
Sorry, Coob. Lolies.
Come on, plenty of time.
Favorite childhood game? I don't know because I used to play a lot of games, but like I guess the game that I used to play all the time because we had it at home was like Monopoly. I used to play it by myself a lot because no one would play with me. So I would like pretend to be my mum and my dad and my brother.
Would you do the voices?
And I had no, but I had like certain rules where like because obviously usually you try and buy like property and stuff and like do all that stuff, and obviously because I wasn't playing with real people, I like implemented a rule that essentially if I was trying to buy some property of other people, I would have to just pay whatever, like I'd have to pay double of what they were actually worth on the board, and that was just like my generic rule to make sure that I could still buy property from people. I guess.
That's a pretty good hack.
Yeah. I was, was smart about it. But yeah, so that would probably be there. I remember like really liking Labyrinth and Enchanted Forest, but I don't know if those were my favorite. I just have a memory of liking them. Then this is the one I was really wrecking my head about, was like games I'm not allowed to play. I don't think I'm not allowed to play anything that I can think of.
Tapestry.
Maybe.
I'm not keen on playing Slide Quest with you ever again. And I imagine the feeling's mutual. Even when we tried it again without the cameras rolling with wheels, it was tense for a minute.
Okay, so fine, Slide Quest is my answer for that, I suppose. My heart's been broken, but I don't know if you can hear that.
I'm sorry, but it's just true.
No, it's fair. It's fair. It's like actually when I was thinking about games I'm not allowed to play, I was thinking like Overcooked, like games like that, because I do just get like that. Like I played Overcooked this week with my housemate and Liam, and it got very tense because while Liam and I have gotten to a point of playing Overcooked where we don't really need to speak to each other anymore, it took a lot of me being quite abusive in the game to him to get to that point. And so because my housemate had never played before, I was not being very nice. I was trying. There was points where I was just like sat in silence, but it got to a point where we didn't get 3 stars in the round, and I was like, should we swap controllers maybe? Which I'd never done before.
Yeah, I was going to say, Overcooked is a video game. Yeah, just to clarify.
It was only because the way the game was split was stupid. Like, they had one person in an area which was a lot harder for one person to deal with, and they had 2 people in the other area which didn't need 2 people. And it was their first time playing, and so I was like, should we just
try to demote your own housemate?
Yeah, it was anyway. I actually ended up sending her a text. I ended up sending her a text afterwards because I was like, I'm really sorry, and she was like, no, it's fine. Like she still enjoyed it, and she was like, I want to play it with you some more, and like I promise I'll get better.
Imagine that Lolies being like Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen, being like, how much is in the bin?
It did get a bit like that.
Oh, no.
So anyway, that's that. And then what was the
game
final
you play every day? Surely it's.
Oh yeah, I think it's Star Realms.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I went like Quinto, and then I went maybe Quacks, which are in my top 3 favorite games, and I completely forgot about Star Realms. And then I was like, wait, no, Star Realms. There has been times in my life where I have played Star Realms every day for months on end. Yeah. So. Definitely Star Realms on DP.
There we go. Right. Well, that is all we've got time for this week. So I know it was compared to our normal podcast, this was lean and mean, but we still talked a lot of nonsense. So thank you for all your questions. We do keep all of them, and we're slowly working through them. If you want to send some more in, you can tweet at Join Dicebreaker, or you can email contact@dicebreaker.com. will work. There is a podcast specific email address, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah. If you put the subject as like podcast question, even at like info at, will probably work.
It will come through. And so keep them coming in, and we will try and answer them. But for the time being, that's all we have. Very, very quickly, what's coming up? Coming up soon. Lolies, the return of something special is happening.
Yeah, I forgot for a second what you were referring to. Dicebreaker is back on Sunday, and it's going to be a special episode where I'm actually not going to be baking. I'm going to be making drinks. I'm not going to say anything more about it, but I've got some. I haven't filmed it yet because I'm waiting for something very special to arrive before I can film it. But it should be a lot of fun, and I'm going to be quite silly with it. So that'll be happening on Sunday.
Are you waiting for some weird ingredient like asp milk or something?
Asp milk?
Asp milk?
Yeah.
Asp.
I mean, I could make that myself, surely.
Asp.
Oh.
Like a snake. Wow. We've also got, again, that game I can't talk about because it's under embargo. We've got more Dungeon Breaker coming up.
Am I right in thinking, Johnny, that they're Dishonored?
Yes. Well, the first part has already aired, or will have done by the time this podcast goes live. So the concluding part will be on Wednesday, the 8th of July. So yeah, you've got that to look forward to. On the website, you've got more of that thing that I can't talk about because it's under embargo. And...
Yeah. We'll have a list out this week on the best app-assisted board games. So these are... Yeah, this is by a fine contributor whose name is...
Just while you think of it, if XCOM's not on there, I'll fight them in a power loader.
I can see XCOM behind you on the shelf.
Oh.
Yeah. Simon Castle has written this. Yes, I'll give you a teaser. XCOM is on there.
Oh, thank goodness.
Don't worry, Simon.
That's one less fist fight I have to have this month.
One less freeloader fight. Yeah, that will be up by the time this podcast comes out. Obviously, there are plenty of other lists on the website. There's always news every day. Yeah, dicebreaker.com, please.
Get your face on the website.
Dicebreaker.com, youtube.com/Dicebreaker, and of course, dicebreaker.myshopify.com.
Yeah!
For all of your merchandise needs, as long as those needs are for Dicebreaker merchandise.
We don't have that t-shirt that Lolies is wearing on the site.
We don't.
No, we don't. I was just doing that to show that.
to kind of, for those of you just listening, Loli sort of popped her shirt.
Yeah.
It looked
Popped
very
a lot.
cool. Right, with that, we shall bid you adieu. Thank you all very much for listening. Thanks to you Alex's of Dicebreaker for joining me, a bearded moron, on the podcast. And we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
Bye!